Hey, and welcome to this week's episode. So this week we're going to talk about how I store my client images, because it's a common question, especially around newborn photographers or photographers in general, of how do you store your clients' images, especially when you get a lot of clients. So what do you do with those images, and where do you put them? So I'm going to share some tips with you and show you exactly what I do in this week's episode. So tip number one is I use cloud storage plus my hard drive. So I have a humongous hard drive that I use to store once the client is in my studio. So what I do is, as soon as I finish a session, I head to my computer, I take out my SD card from my camera, plug it into my computer, grab all the images off the card and pop them on the hard drive for us to actually view them in Breach. Now once the client has left, I take those images, only those that they've selected, and I upload them to my Google Cloud. So that's exactly what I use for storage, but I'm going to talk about in tip number two how I organize my folders. So tip number two is organization in folders. So I create folders on my computer and in my cloud storage that I put the selection images I've selected. The raw images, I will leave them on my hard drive just until I'm finished with that client. So after they've come in and picked up their images and it's all done. But on the cloud storage, I actually organize folders. So I have their selection folder, so obviously the images they've selected. I also have any things that they've selected, like taken out of their selection folder, in a removed folder. So I actually call it removed. So they might decide that they don't want it anymore while they're there choosing. We add them in that folder. The reason I do this is they might email us back after they've left and say, hey Rochelle, you know what, those that we unselected, can we have them again? Because it happens all the time. So I have them in the removed folder. Then after that, I have an editor folder. So those are going to my editor. My editor will have them in there once she's done them. And then after, I have a social media folder. So I go in once they've left and select some nice images that I want to use for my social media and my website, and I have them in there as well. So that's pretty much the list of folders that I have and how I organize it when it comes down to folders. So what do you do with all those raw images now that you've finished and completed the client's work? Well, I actually get rid of the raw images after 2 weeks after the clients have, finished their session and their products ordering and all that with me. I get rid of them. I only keep their selection images for another about a week, and then we usually do once a month, getting rid of all the unwanted images. I only keep those that I want to use in my social media folder, because I might refer back to them in a year or a few months to use them for some portfolios, some ordering products for the studio. So that's pretty much what I do with the images that haven't been selected and the client selection. I get rid of them in about 2 weeks and only keep those that I want to use in my social media folder. So there you have it. These are my few tips on what I do and how I sort my images for my clients. If you have any questions, please leave them below wherever you are listening or watching this. And before you go, if you haven't already, head on over to thephotographersociety.com and download my free newborn session guide. And if you haven't followed me yet over on Instagram, make sure to go find me there. I'm at Photography by Rochelle. I will catch you all next week for another episode. Until then, take care.